Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Can you believe it? We are a week away from Christmas. Well, I have a very special Christmas gift for all of you, our phenomenal guest, Grammy nominee, Mickey Guyton.
Hello, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh my God, of course.
I have been looking forward for the last 4 months to make this happen.
Here we are.
Yes, indeed. I was watching television. It was late night, and they were running it again, and they were talking about you. And I was like, oh my! I sat up in my bed, and I'm like, look at that diva, country singer Mickey Guyton, and I just went feverishly trying to get in touch with people that would get me in touch with you. And soon enough, less than 30 days, we confirmed it. And then, you had a busy schedule. So I'm so glad you made time for us.
Of course, I'm going to make time for Black press. That's always so important for me, is just to really, support Black people. And it's just so important. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate that. So, Mickey, we have a mixture of people that are watching all over the country and all over the world, actually. Yes. So for, your fans know you through and through. You have some other people who are just learning, who you are as far as country singer. The name, of course, everyone knows. When did you start liking music? And more specifically, when did you know the country music would be your avenue?
Well, I grew up singing in the church. That's really where it started for me. And I sang in the church choir. That was really where it all started. And my dad was the one that discovered that I could sing. But what really made me want to be a country singer and fell in love with that music was my church went to a Texas Rangers baseball game. And I will never forget it. I saw LeAnn Rimes before LeAnn Rimes was LeAnn Rimes, and she sang the national anthem, and it just blew me away. Like, I remember you could hear a pin drop in that stadium, and she just sounded like a grown woman, and I just fell in love with that. And my grandma was also a huge fan of Dolly Parton, and so when I would go over her house, she's from the South, like from Riesel, Texas, and like so much so in the country that the streets don't have names, they have numbers.
Wow.
And yeah, and I remember I would go on the back of her door and she would have the Roots series, VHS tape series on the back of it, and she would have Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers duets VHS tapes. So that's what I watched. So that was kind of my first started loving country music.
Isn't it amazing about music? I think you and I spoke before we actually turned on the lights and camera for the interview about, me growing up in Europe, and I listened to classic rock. And then when I came here, I remember seeing a show with Dolly Parton. And I think it was just the way she sang the song just made me connect to it. I mean, I didn't grow up in the South, but it was just something about her bubbly personality that I think all walks of life. And that's amazing about music, how it can just reach you no matter where you are.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So what age did you tell your parents, this is what I want to do? I want to be a country singer? Because that's a big step for a Black girl, right?
It is a really big step. I told my parents probably around like 10 or 11 that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it. It's so funny how God has a destiny for each and every single one of us. And, I grew up just loving Dolly Parton and Whitney Houston and LeAnn Rimes and Shania Twain and those types of people. And that's when I said, that's what I want to do. And it's actually a really scary thing to even acknowledge. It's not like a doctor,
right?
A
exactly.
lawyer, a teacher. It's a singer, and you're just like, oh, that's a horrible profession to ever enter into, because there's no way, very seldomly do you ever make it. And so, yeah.
So what was your path?
Well, my path was, so I graduated high school. I really worked and really wanted to do music. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And instead of going, to a university in Texas, I decided that I was going to move to California. I looked at all my options and I thought, Atlanta, that's more of like a an R&B scene. Like it's very, very much so a heavy R&B scene. Like I didn't really think that I could find the opportunities that I needed there. Then there's New York, and that's actually really, really scary. And then there's California. So I chose California, and I moved out there and just started going to school. And so my parents, it was in order for me to move to California, it was contingent upon me going to school. So I went out there just I established residency, and I started going to a community college out there. So I started going to Santa Monica Community College and Valley Village Community College because I had to get all of my credits. So I was going back and forth to do 2 different places. And I was trying to find gigs as a backup singer out in LA. And I got into the rooms and would sing Whitney Houston demos. I would sing background vocals. I've done stuff for Patti LaBelle, Heather Headley, even like just some of the most random people. But I would do background vocals of stuff like that. But I never got any or saw any opportunities for country music, especially out in LA. And I was in a horrible relationship, and everything was going wrong for me out there. And I was really missing home and was going to move back to Texas. And I befriended this woman named Jessica Bendinger. And Jessica Bendinger wrote Bring It On and Stick It. She wrote both of those screenplays, and she became a very dear friend of mine. And she sat me down one day and she was like, Mickey, what is it that you want to do with your life? Like, why are you here? And I was like, I really want to sing country music, but I don't really have the opportunities. I don't even know how to do that. And she said, well, you just do it. And I was like, okay.
Where do I go?
Where do I go? So I started just going online and I researched. I was like Black female country singers because I didn't know of any. And I saw Reese Palmer. And I saw this beautiful curly-haired Black woman making her way in a predominantly white industry. And it just was so inspiring. And I was like, well, I want to do that. And one thing led to another, and God brought these people into my life. This guy named Julian Raymond, who now is over at Big Machine. And he had worked with Glenn Campbell and produced his last record. And got signed to my management. And here I am. That's the short, long version of the story.
So let me ask you because, for those people that are out there and they wonder why it's so important, for example, when you have we have a vice president-elect, a Black female, why it's so important for you and children to see someone that looks like them. You just gave us a perfect example. You saw one, and that for you solidified it is doable. It's possible because you saw someone doing what it is that you had envisioned yourself doing. So I think that's a great message to send out to people to understand whether you're male or female or Black or white or Asian, no matter what, it's always inspiring. And I'm a big proponent for pushing for girls to see and believe that they can do anything they want to do despite race or culture where they grew up.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really, really special story. Absolutely. What was the amount of time? Because I'm surprised you didn't say that you went to Tennessee. You said California. So what was the time from I think it's another issue that people have. They think things happen overnight.
It did not happen overnight at all for me. By the time I moved out to Tennessee, I was 27. So that was a 7-8 year process.
Okay.
That got me there. And, the first 4 years of that was school. Okay. And the last 3 years of that were me working 2 jobs and singing and writing and traveling back and forth and trying to put this record together. And I was couch surfing. Like it was not an easy process for me at all. So by the time I moved to Tennessee, I was 27, almost 28 years old.
So Mickey, couch surfing and working 2 jobs, that sounds like a really good country song, right?
Let me tell you, I came from a family of hard workers, and my dad definitely told me that I have to earn everything that I want to do and I have to work for it. So once I moved to Nashville, I had a job there. I was working at Nordstrom in the lingerie department. And And I didn't realize, and this is when I had gotten a record deal. And I always wanted to just make sure that I had money because it can dwindle so quickly. And so I was working like Monday through Thursday, I was writing songs. And then Thursday through Saturday, I was working in the lingerie department thinking that I wasn't going to see anybody that I knew at my record label.
No.
Little did I know, like people from Little Big Town would come in there and be like, hey, I need to get my wife a bra. And I'd be like,
all right,
here I am.
Oh my goodness. I love hearing this background, or I kind of call it backstage information, where people just think, again, I know some people understand that this is a labor of love and it's a lot of work, and you do pay your dues. Even in the industry that I'm in, you do pay your dues. You understand, once you make it, whatever that level of success is for you, you look back and you see all the things that you gave up and sacrificed for. But I can imagine some of the challenges that you would have being a female, being Black, being beautiful, being in a country music industry. What are some of the things that you were able to overcome?
Well, I've overcome a lot. And it's only surfaced now. I've been in Nashville for 7-8 years and it took me a lot of fight. And what I was able to overcome was, so in Nashville, there are rules. There's a certain way of life that you are supposed to follow in order to make it in country music.
Okay.
And there's a certain way that it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to use certain musicians and certain producers and certain songwriters and all of these things. And I did all of that. And I followed everything that they told me to do. And it just really wasn't working. Like it took me 4 years to actually release a song. And I know that there are artists, there's been women that have been signed to the same label as me that have gone on and put out full-on albums within the time that I was signed to a record label. And it was very, very frustrating. I've seen guys come and go and have successful careers, and I was just held to a different standard. Like there were certain types of songs that I couldn't sing that other white males could sing, and that was really, really, really difficult for me. I remember anytime I turned in a song that was really progressive, like the common conversation that people told me was, well, we've got to make sure you're really country because people are going to feel that you are disingenuous.
Okay. It's different.
But I grew up in like Waco, Texas, like Crawford, Texas, if you want me to be exact, like on gravel dirt roads. Like my grandmother loved Dolly Parton. I've got cowboys in my family, yet here I am trying to prove to myself that to these people that I'm country, and it was really difficult. And what was even more difficult was that I'm seeing all of these white men putting out country songs with trap beats in them, singing R&B melodies in them.
Wow.
And calling it country music and having rappers on their songs and all of that. But my songs were not enough.
That is really interesting because I think I kind of think that it's not fair to think, because what if you did come from a New York City, if you love country music and it's in your soul?
It doesn't matter where you're from.
It doesn't matter. And I mean, and I'm not getting on anyone. I'm just saying I never put it like that. I never thought of it where people, and I know, country music is huge. It is, next to rap, it is the number one.
America's music.
It's America's music.
It really so why does it matter whether you're from New York or California or Florida or Seattle or Washington, excuse me? It shouldn't matter where you're from. If it's in your heart, it's in your heart.
That has to be a tough thing for a 27 or even a 22-year-old by herself, because your parents, to my understanding, aren't in the country music industry, to really take on a battle like that. Not I don't want to say a battle. I'm sorry. To take on something like that 4 years. It was
a battle.
4 years. Just imagine anyone that's watching this show now. My special guest, of course, is Grammy nominee country singer Mickey Guyton. And just imagine you wanted to do something and you had to wait 4 years, but you're still working on what it is that you want to do. That is determination. Like, I can't even imagine how many times you might have said, all right, maybe this is just not going to work. I mean, did you have those times?
I've had those times. I've had those times this year, in fact. And the one thing that has just kept me here is the representation. And I knew I've been in Nashville long enough and have made enough connections that it was really important for me to have a presence in this genre, to show other Black women, other women of color, whatever color you are, that you can sing country music and be accepted. And one thing I had to do was I had to reframe my mind. Booker T. Washington has a quote that says, I'm trying to find it here on my phone. It says, if you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else.
Ooh.
And he said that. And I realized that, you know, my purpose within this purpose is to hold that door open for other women of color and for other Black women. And so often we're put in boxes, we're put in corners, we're forgotten, we're disregarded, we're boxed out, we're never thought of. So often it's almost upsetting. It still happens to this day. And I've realized that the only way that I can actually succeed is if I help other young women that look like me, that kind of look like me, and help them succeed too, and open that door and hold it open for them too.
It's so refreshing to know that you're taking on that challenge. We're opening up the phone lines, as you want to call them, where you can post your questions for Grammy nominee Mickey Guyton, who is joining us. I am so beyond excited. And anyone who knows me, definitely coming from Europe and coming here, I remember that I used to watch it. My grandma, she's from South Carolina. She's no longer with us, but I used to watch Western shows to get their accent. I used to talk like them. I used to say, honey, I mean, my family was like, what is wrong with this girl?
I would go to the little grocery store and get the little fake cigarettes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The bubblegum cigarettes.
That is so funny.
And I would try to be like my grandma.
Yes.
Try it and
I'm sure
like,
there's somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I did the same thing.
But I would assume, obviously, being in Texas too, that's a way of life. I mean, right? If you're exposed to it, that is Texas. The boots, the cowboys, which, as we know, history has it, African Americans were the first cowboys. If you're going to be factual, right? We were the first cowboys. So
country music the banjo came from Africa.
Yes. See, I think it's all about, there's so much there's so much that we need to know. And this is across the board. This is not just a Black thing or a white thing. This is all of us need to know and do our research and not just go with what we've perceived for this many years, but to really do your research. There are people like, you talk about your plight now and what you've gone through, and, still there's challenges with any industry. I understand that. Yeah. But can you imagine what people, African Americans, went through before you? I mean,
can't even imagine.
I mean, we just recently lost Charlie Pride, and I can imagine that is a big loss to us all.
It has been. It's been very, very, very heavy, actually. It's been extremely heavy because in the loss of Charlie Pride, there's still been some unveiling of racism that has been just brushed under a rug, and we have no idea what he went through. But right. At one point in time, like Willie Nelson called him a super N-word. Yep. Do I think Willie Nelson is racist now? No. I mean, we all can learn and move forward. But he received Charlie Pride in 2020, finally received the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award.
Okay.
And the fact that it's called the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award, and that man called him a super
full circle.
It just hurts. And then he dies. And he died from COVID. And there's so many people and men in country music that were making COVID jokes and laughing and we need to perform and we need to do that. And here is Charlie Pride dead from COVID. And now they're all wanting to send their condolences. So I am a little upset still.
Yeah,
if you want me to be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you about COVID-19. It has really shaken up the universe. Yeah. How has that changed your life? And for those who don't know, you are pregnant. So by the way, congratulations to you and your husband. So how has that changed your life? Because we are literally doing things that we didn't think that we could do. And now we're having to do them virtually like this.
You know, COVID has been one of the most devastating things to happen to the world. But it has also opened some of the craziest doors for me that I don't think I would have ever received. It made everybody sit down. And we've been forced to have to face a lot during this time. You know, we've had all the racial unrest and as well within this. And it has forced people to sit down and have to listen. And it has enabled a lot of the music that I've been writing and a lot of the things that I've been dealing with to be heard. And it has opened up a career wide open for me and a path wide open for me that I never would have ever thought. Like I've been stuck in my apartment like everybody else in their homes, wherever. I've been stuck here since March.
Yeah. Yes.
And starting in March, I had no plan in place. My music was kind of like, we were on our way and then everything just plummeted. And here I am, Grammy nominated.
That is so exciting.
It's wild.
So exciting.
It's wild. God is wild. You never know how he's going to work.
Are you able, Mickey, to write? So I'm trying to think when I think of the country music that I've listened to, right? Yeah. It's stories of love and happiness and smashing windows sometimes. I mean, all genre of music do that, right? Yeah. So are you able though to write in your songs? Do you deal with race issues? Is that something that the industry is even open to listening to?
You know, I released Black Like Me, and I recall having conversations that country radio were getting phone calls from very angry people when it got played on the radio. They were really, really upset.
Okay.
But, you know, I have dealt with racist things in country music. Yeah. I opened up for a pretty major artist and I've had to sing in front of Confederate flags.
Wow.
I've been called the N-word as I was hugging a kid with Down syndrome.
Wow.
So yeah, I've dealt with it and I was told we don't need to talk about it. You know, we'll find the right publication to talk about it. And it was never talked about until 2020, until I said, enough is enough. I'm going to follow my truth and I'm going to speak about the things that have happened in my life.
Mickey, when you go out in public, and I love your videos, and you're just so girly, and I just see myself in you and what you're doing. So I'm sorry that I'm trying to, feel like I'm looking at you when you're doing the video, and you're, when you look at you, you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, she's a country singer or R&B or hip hop. You wouldn't say anything until you hear. Country singing has, it's like I don't know, maybe it's the way you guys carry your words, and it's just, obviously I'm not a singer. So how did you get that? There's a different little, I don't know, there's something in all country singers and songs. You just hear it. It just stands out.
Well, while everybody was listening to Jagged Edge and 112 and all of those amazing artists, back in the day, I was listening to Shania Twain and LeAnn Rimes and Whitney Houston and Celine Dion, and it's just a way. It's just a way of what you've listened to, and it's something that I loved so much and admired so much. So that's kind of where it came from for me.
So who would you say is the first person? I know you talked about the young lady who, when you were in California, said, what do you want to do? Record label wise or producer wise, who saw the talent in you and said, I'm giving this girl a chance?
Yes.
And started that ball going.
So Julian Raymond, he produced one of Glenn Campbell's records. And I think what ended up happening was Glenn Campbell said, one thing I've never seen a Black woman singing country music. And if she's there, she's going to have a very great career. So I met Julian here in Los Angeles, and I started singing with him and sang for him. And he gave me my first chance. And then I started working with different producers in LA or in Nashville. And it was Nathan Chapman who really saw, and he really saw my potential. And Nathan Chapman produced like Taylor Swift. Like that was his claim to fame.
Okay.
And he also produced my song Black Like Me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, I strongly advise you. I love the video with it as well. So can I say that for country music, you'll have to make your way back to Nashville, right? That's just where it is, right?
That is where it is. Like, look, I have been around this world, and I've written songs in California and Atlanta and New York, but the songwriting in Nashville is unlike anything I have ever experienced or seen. It is just the songwriter, the musicianship. It sparkles. Like for me, that's where I would say, yeah, you can't. Do you have to live there? No. But do you have to be in Nashville to find country music and to find the right kind of music for you? Yes, I would say yes.
It just seems like when you follow what's been going on with country music, I think they probably have more people traveling to Nashville to become country singers than they have people going to California to be actors and actresses. I was so surprised. I mean, it is huge to head to Nashville and to get into country music.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's very competitive. I don't think you always see, because some of the stuff that gets through to radio isn't necessarily the best, in my personal opinion. It's not indicative to what you actually see that's in Nashville. But when I moved to Nashville, the first week I started going to all these different writers' rounds, and literally some of the most incredible singers come out of there. And I remember I was depressed my first week out there. Like I thought, oh, I'm talented. Oh, I've got this in the bag. Oh, I'm going to, really be the go-to person in Nashville. And then I got there and I heard these singers and I was just devastated. I was like, why did I ever think that highly of myself? It was crazy. Yeah.
I think that's great. So did by any chance when Darius Rucker switch over, did that have any inspiration? When he did that, I'm like, wait a minute. And I will be honest, I'm like, he's doing what now?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, he is killing it.
He is killing it. So we're signed to the same label.
Okay.
And Mike Dungan is the president of our label. And Mike Dungan is the one that saw the potential in Darius Rucker and always thought that Darius should sing a country record. And he absolutely had something to do with that. Me seeing Darius being in that field, it was like, oh, well, if he can do it, then I can be accepted too. That whole representation matters, and you see it, you can be it. Absolutely rang true in that situation. And Darius is just the kindest man. Like he's got some big shoes to fill now that Charlie has passed. He's kind of the torchbearer, I think, or he's carrying the torch now.
There was a lot of conversation though when Darius switched over. There was a lot of negative things. There were, what's
Absolutely,
going on? He's just playing with this. And I just remember the news stories coming in, and I was like, is this serious? And Darius made it from day one. This was not a joke, and he was very serious about it. And he's proven that now, with his dedication and his talent. So, kudos to him. And for all those little girls and boys out there that may want to get into country music, I know seeing you and Darius, and for those that remember Charlie Pride or have experienced, his talent, it's an inspiration. And I think all kids, all people should have an opportunity to fulfill their dreams, whatever it may be, getting over those obstacles, but we shouldn't have race or gender be a factor in what you can or can't do.
Absolutely. And a lot of, we're working really hard within the industry. Mentorship is super, super important. It's so often we as artists are so busy trying to make our own careers happen that we forget about the people that are to come behind us. And it's so important for us to again, hold open the door, extend out that arm to help them as they're trying to pursue their dreams. And so that is something that is really actively happening in Nashville as well. For your listeners and people that one person that could hear this, like, my resources are your resources. And I have discovered several artists just on my Instagram, and I will connect them in any way that I possibly can, because I know what it's like to have a dream and have no idea how to get there or who can help you get to that. And so, I'm 100% there to help in any way that I can.
And we know that the roadmap for success or getting into country music or any music for that genre is there's no exact step, but what are one or two things that you can give for those that are out there that may aspire to be just like you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost is working on your talent. We all have these dreams, but it's so important that you work on your craft and be talented. That's utmost the most important thing, because when you're talented, nobody can deny it. And, work on your musicianship and work on your songwriting. That's so important. Know who you want to be as an artist. That is so important. That's something that I didn't necessarily walk into Nashville knowing. I didn't know who I wanted to be or what I wanted to say, but know exactly what you want to say. Like, what is it about you that is going to make people want to listen to you? So know what that is, and be truthful and be honest. Like, people live authentically your true self. Like, one thing that turned my career around for me was I had been in Nashville and doing the Nashville system. It was like I was freaking running around in a circle. Like, it was like an infinite circle. And I it was so hard. And I finally asked my husband, I was like, why do you think it's not working for me? And he said to me, because you're running away from everything that makes you different. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that makes you different, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Latina, whether you are in the LGBTQIA plus community, or whether you're Indigenous, whatever it is, find your truth and stand in that. That is so important. People need truth. People need honesty. And there's someone out there that when you are honest and truthful with who you are, there's someone that's going to listen and hear that and be affected by that. And that's the most important thing for me.
So, Mickey, I'm wondering if this was helpful or a hindrance for you. So since you're not a stereotypical blonde hair, blue eye person, they don't have to lump you into a category. So when you went to a record label, did they ask you how did they decide who you were, or how did you convey who you were to them?
Well, to be honest, I just conveyed myself as a girl that loved Dolly Parton and LeAnn. That's who I conveyed. But, to be perfectly honest with you and to anybody listening, go on the country music charts right now and see who's on the charts right now, and you will see hardly any women. And so it didn't matter whether I was Black or not. They don't they are very, very much so discriminatory towards women. And they will hate that I said that, but it's the truth. The truth is in the numbers. There's so much data right now that I could just post on my socials for you to see that it is discriminatory towards women. And just being a woman has been a hindrance to me. Yeah.
And so, there's few things I wanted to ask you about. So I want you to tell us a little bit about you writing the song Heaven Down Here and Bridges, I think it is.
Yeah. So once the quarantine happened, I was supposed to be putting out an album this year, which only put out an EP. But as the quarantine started, I was like, how am I supposed to write this album? Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to record this. What am I supposed to do? So I talked to my label, and thank God we were ahead. So everybody was posting Instagram live concerts and showing how great their lives were in quarantine. I was working. And it was really, really important for me to finish this project that I had been working on that was really, really powerful for me. And what had started happening was like all the social unrest happened. Like we saw Ahmaud Arbery die. We saw Breonna Taylor die. We saw George Floyd die so unjustly. And I was just devastated. And I'm here in downtown Los Angeles. And I was I could see the protests going right by my apartment.
Oh my goodness.
And I was so inspired by it. And I gotten all this equipment, and I have a producer all the way out in Nashville. And I just started writing about what I was seeing outside of my door. So I was like, this world is on fire. It seemed like the world in country music, like everybody was smiling and happy, and I was wrecked. My soul was wrecked. And so I talked about we need more heaven down here. And then I wrote this song called Bridges, and I was like, what connects people? What connects? Bridges connect. They connect land. They connect people. And I just thought to myself, like, if we just started building bridges instead of division, we would be in such a better space. So I wrote these songs, and the next thing I know, I had an album that I wrote over a Zoom session.
Wow.
Yeah. And we recorded it on Zoom, all of it.
Oh goodness. See this. So like I said, there's, we had to adjust, the pandemic, COVID-19, which we have probably another 4 or 6 months still of going through transition. It's thankful that we have one vaccine. We'll know if Moderna, I didn't get a chance to check before we went on live today, if Moderna was approved by the FDA. I have a question, and this is from California. I can't read her name. Now that you've gained some celebrity, have you had the chance to meet or work with your idols?
I've met a lot of really great people. Dolly Parton is someone that I've gotten to meet. Have I gotten to work with her yet? No. But I will say Dionne Warwick tweeted about me yesterday, and that
listen, it wasn't good because Dionne's been tweeting a lot lately.
They tweeted me, and I was like, "What?
Oh my god! Oh my god!"
I cried over that, but there's a lot. I have been starting to work with some really cool up and coming young country artists. There's a guy named Breland. If you guys have never heard of him, it's Breland.
Breland.
I am a massive fan of him right now. And I'm just getting to just discover all of this new talent. Like I'm almost just as excited about the new talent as I am with my idols. I would love to record a song with Dolly Parton and Carrie Underwood. I would love that.
Oh yeah, Carrie seems like she's so sweet. I watched her from the beginning all the way to where she is now.
Let me tell you, that girl is a saint. I call her Saint Carrie. I got to perform with her at the ACMs, not this year, but last year. And that woman saw me so nervous and stressed out and scared. And she came over and hugged me and prayed over me.
Wow.
Like, she is a good woman, and I would just love to work with her. Like, she's a good one.
Now, speaking of working with me, so every time you see me kind of look down, I always get texts from people that are following us. So I have another celebrity that's reached out to me, and he is Grammy nominee Kenny Lattimore from the Maryland area. And he wants to congratulate you. And he also wants to know, or excuse me, he said he would love to do a duet with you.
Oh my God. Of course.
Yes. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to connect you with Concert Connects. Yeah, I'm going to connect you with Concert Connects talent agency, and they're going to do that. Yeah. So he just gives you some love and shout out, and he loves what you're doing. Yeah, Kenny Lattimore. So exciting.
Yes, Kenny.
So we talked about you being pregnant. So how is this affecting? Because one, COVID, you were supposed to, put out an album, you put out an EP instead. Your baby's due early spring, right?
February.
Oh my goodness. February 16th. That's my birthday. So Aquarius.
February 12th. So.
Oh, okay. So how are you adjusting and preparing? Because this is going to kind of change things for you as well.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I have been so busy that I feel like I'm a bad mom because I haven't been able to prepare as much as I have. But honestly, when I found out I was pregnant 4 days after I released Black Like Me, and I was like, really, God? Like, this is your plan here? Like, this is what you want? But I've realized that I've had to reprogram my mind because women were so like in this mind frame of like, we can't have a career, we can't have a baby, we can't have all of these things that every other man can have. But I had to reprogram my mind and realize that I can absolutely be a mother and have a career as a singer. It's not going to change. It's going to change. Like, I definitely am going to have to fight and work extra hard, but life is just crazy, nothing really tops it. Even having a Grammy nominee isn't as special as life. I must.
Isn't it amazing feeling your little one move? I remember the first time moving your stomach. It is, I can't even explain it, but 16 years later, I still get excited talking about feeling that baby going in your stomach.
It is so crazy because, like I've said, it's not like I've really enjoyed pregnancy at all. But when you feel this life that's like, that has a destiny, that has its own soul, that has this whole life ahead of you, when you feel that, it is just so wild, and it trumps every bout of acid reflux and Braxton Hicks contractions. It trumps it all, but it's really, really beautiful. And I'm terrified. I don't know what I'm doing, but just knowing and seeing how excited people have been to love him has just been really, really cool.
And you listen, there's no manual on that. Like you talked about being in the profession of being a country singer. There's no manual on it. And all that he will want is to be loved by his mom and dad. And we already know that that's a done deal. So everything else will come in time. Everything else. And listen, everyone's going to have advice on what you need to do. You'll find out and you'll know. I don't know how to say it, but it just happens. It just one day it all makes sense. It does. It just all makes sense. And the other thing you'll realize is you will hear, there'll be a room full of babies and you'll hear your baby cry. You'll know your baby's cry from all the other kids that are doing the same thing. It's just something, it just snaps. It just turns and it just changes. It's so much fun. But I will tell you, I never understood this, and you will understand it. Time goes by so fast. I know people tell you that. I'm like, what do you mean? My child's 16. I swear I look back and I'm like, where did it go? Take those pictures, make those photo albums. I started on my baby book, and by the time she was 1, there's no more pictures.
When I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh God, this first trimester is just dragging on, and I'm tired and I'm nauseous and I don't feel good. And here I am 7 months pregnant. I was like, what just happened? Like, I am sensing that and seeing that. And I saw my baby's face for the first time yesterday.
Did you really? Oh my goodness. Those
He looks-
3Ds are amazing.
He looks just like my husband. And I like all day yesterday, I was just staring at my husband. He's like, what? Like, you're in my belly right now. Like, what is happening?
That is so amazing. So how many kids do you two want?
He wants 5.
Yes, I love it. I wanted 6, but I have 1.
I don't know if my body can withstand this, but I've wanted to adopt since I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
Since I found out what it was. Yes. So if I can't, if my body's like, you're done, I'll still adopt. And that's something that's just been on my heart to do. There's so many kids that deserve a home. And my husband was adopted. And if his mother didn't give him up for adoption or had decided not to have him, I wouldn't have him. So
what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
And I can imagine all the kids right now that are looking for homes in the middle of the COVID and how tough it may be. It's something I've thought about in wanting to do show topics and every child deserves a loving home and
every
that's a beautiful
child
message.
deserves a home. Absolutely. There's this company that if you guys haven't heard of, it's called Hopeland.
Hopeland, okay.
Yes, it is. Hugh Jackman's wife started this.
Oh, okay.
And I've gotten to be a part of a fundraiser with them last year, and she's just the kindest woman. But they really are working towards making sure that these kids have homes and families and that they're not forgotten about and left alone and left out in this world to face it all on their own. Like that is just not okay. So
no. And knowing that when they turn 18, if they don't have a family, they're literally all by themselves. I cannot imagine that, Mickey.
It's not.
I can't imagine.
It's not right. It's not right.
Really. You're tuning in now to our wonderful Grammy nominee, Mickey Guyton, country singer Mickey Guyton. And she's a mama. The baby's inside.
I'm a baby mama.
So very, very exciting. And I know that let's talk about what music we can hear from you and where we can go and keep up and support you.
Yes. So I'm currently working on completing a full album that will be released next year.
Okay.
It's been really wild and crazy. Grammy nominee. So that's something so tune in. We're just seeing if I get to perform or not, which would be amazing. Wow. It's a huge win for the African American community if I do win. So that's what's coming up next for me. This album, but you can hear, I have a song out. I did my version of Oh Holy Night. It's exclusively on Apple Music. So if you have Apple Music, you can listen to it there.
Okay.
I've got some other covers working out that'll be coming out here, but you can hear my album Bridges, my EP Bridges that is out on all streaming platforms. And I think it's some pretty incredible work. So if you guys want to check out some cool kind of off the wall country music, it's there for you.
And Black Like Me, please check that video out. I just really love that. That is really, really
We were supposed to shoot an actual music video before COVID.
Oh, changed everything, didn't it?
Changed everything.
You've got to be super careful now with you having a baby inside.
And I'm asthmatic. I have asthma, so.
Okay, so you probably may not be able to even take the vaccine.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna wait a little while for that.
Yeah, we're gonna let it, I think some people are saying that, we got the first responders and the people in the hospital system taking it now. And we want to know your social media handle so we can follow you and support you on wherever you are, social media.
Yes, so it's at Mickey Guyton. That's Mickey like a mouse, Guyton like a guy that weighs a ton. So MICKEYGUYTON. And that's everywhere. I've got Twitter, Instagram. I have TikTok, but I just have a really hard time. Like I thought I could make some of those cute dancing videos. That takes days.
It does. It does. My daughter can do it in 2 seconds. It does
not take me like just 2 seconds to do that. Well, tell your daughter to come on over here. And
yes, she would love to do that. No question whatsoever. So we know that we have we're going to follow you. You know, right now you're concentrating on the baby, but you're writing still, right?
I'm still writing. Yes.
Does it change your voice being pregnant?
Yes.
Okay.
It depends on the time of day.
Yes.
Depending on how much food I have in my stomach, like
Okay.
it completely takes my range. Like this baby is just sitting on every organ that I have. And so sometimes, you know, I can't hit certain notes and I have to like stand up so I can hit them to make room because this baby, and I'm like 5'3" and my husband's 6'4". So this baby is
he's going to be a long one. Tall one.
4 pounds already. And they were like, oh, he'll be 3 pounds by this one. I'm like, well, he's 4. So,
okay.
So
we'll I can't wait to hear when the news media puts out that you've had your baby boy and see how that goes. That's going to be great. And so are you having family help when the baby comes? At least the first week, I advise you to have someone there with you.
Absolutely. My mom, I have other nieces and nephews, and my mom definitely took care of them. So I only have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment here in downtown Los Angeles. And that baby room is a baby room / guest room. Like I've set up a bed in there that's comfortable for my mom. I said, Dad, you can stay for as long as you want, but Mom's going to really be here until I get a hang on this motherhood thing.
It really helped. My mom was great about that. And so was her grandmother from the other side of the family. They really made a difference. Have you had any weird cravings or cravings at all?
I do have one. It's really embarrassing and really weird. Like you're gonna like you can laugh. It's weird. I think I do have a condition called pica, but like I crave dirt.
Wait a minute. That really is something.
It really is something.
Okay, so first of all, I have to ask you I don't know what that craving's like. So I understand. Like
imagine you wanting
dirt
a donut.
Uh-huh.
Imagine you wanting a donut and you're like salivating at the mouth.
Yeah.
So if I am walking outside and the sprinkler system has just gone off or something, you can kind of smell like my mouth will salivate over that. And I'm like, what the is wrong with me? It's really
nothing's wrong. We know that so that is definitely, I am familiar with that. Wow.
Yeah. So people that have pica, they'll crave dirt. They can crave clay. Chalk.
I've seen the chalk and the dirt. Mm-hmm. I've seen a couple of shows and they literally as they're eating it, they're like knowing they're not supposed to, but it's satisfying. No, I'm not saying you. No, wow. Okay. Yeah. See, this is what the show is all about, girl power, being able to share stories so other women that are going through it and saying, oh my goodness, I didn't even know the name of it. It's not embarrassing. We all have different things that we have gone through and had cravings for. And the great thing about this show and you, Mickey, when you tell your truth, there's about 1 million other people that can say, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me. Yeah. And it's nothing like knowing that you're not alone in this world, especially with this COVID-19. I think people who didn't have mental health issues, I think are finding out that this virus has caused a lot of people to deal with some demons that they had no idea that they had. And, for me, I got a chance to slow down and spend more time with my daughter and realize I just was moving so fast, Mickey. Moving so fast. And I can understand what you were saying too. It's really tough sometimes for a woman to be a mom and to have a career, and being in the entertainment industry that I am with radio and television and news. You just have to be. It's when the weather's bad. There's no sick days for what I do. So you understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you understand that.
At one point in time, I had to just let people know in my management, they were like, can we push your ultrasound? Can we switch it? And I said, no, we can't. That was a moment where I was like, you know what? This is my child who deserves to be put first and who has not been put first through this entire pregnancy. So no, I will commit to my exact time of my ultrasound, and everybody's going to have to work around it.
I commend you because when I had my daughter, I just remember saying, I made sure that my appointments and any illnesses that I had, I really didn't talk about it because I didn't want it to stop me from invited to do things and be promoted. So I just didn't want, I wanted to be right up there with the men, you know, that there wasn't an issue. I know things have changed now, thank goodness. We still have a long ways to go, but for a lot of women, they choose to keep things and just say, you know, yeah, I guess I can change this, you know. So kudos to you that you are realizing it at such a young age. Like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, because, you know, I think there's many times where I just didn't say things because I just didn't want to have to worry about it.
I did the same thing. I wouldn't open my mouth for certain things. And now I'm like, I will open my mouth and say, no, I cannot. And you guys will respect that. And they will respect that. Like, what person isn't going to respect you taking care of your child? Like, you're keeping the world turning right now.
Absolutely. You know? So very true. Our wonderful guest country singer, Grammy nominee. We're keeping our fingers crossed for this. Oh my goodness, I would love to see you perform for that as well. Okay. So we just want to, you know, again, thank you, Mickey, for joining us. We want to congratulate you on your marriage and your baby boy. I cannot wait to hear more about that and your professional career. Would you one more time give us your social media handles for those that we can support you?
Yes. So my social media handle is at Mickey Guyton. That is Mickey like the mouse, Guyton like a guy that weighs a ton. So that's MICKEYGUYTON. And I would love to hear from you. Again, if you're an aspiring singer, songwriter, whatever, and you don't know how you're going to get to that next step, and especially if you're legitimately talented and really want this as your profession, I'm always here to listen and always here to help in any way that I can.
Mickey, you are phenomenal. You have really made my day, and I have to thank you and your management. I also have to make sure I thank Concert Connect Talent Booking Agency for making the connection and getting you on the show. I will make sure that you have the information for Kenny Lattimore, who would love to do a duet with you. Can you imagine how much fun that's going to be?
Oh my God.
That is going to be amazing. So we expect a lot of great things for you. Thank you for standing up for people of color in country music. We all love country music. We're just a diverse group of people, and it's for all people. And as you said, all people. So again, thank you so very much. We wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And it's so good to see your face. And thank you so much for having me. This has been such a joy. And I just thank y'all for giving me a platform to talk about some things. And I've really, really enjoyed this.
Well, listen, you be blessed and take care of that little bundle of joy inside of you.
I will.
Well, until next week, everyone, God bless and goodbye.
Bye.